Because of the ridiculously large amount of criticism surrounding the end to the 2020 regular season on Sunday Night Football, I decided last minute to create this video in defense of the Philadelphia Eagles' actions in the Week 17 loss to the Washington football team. The biggest point of criticism came at the end of the third quarter when Doug Peterson benched Jalen Hurts and put Nate Sudfeld into the game. They decided to leave him into the game, and the result was a 20-14 loss to Washington. And following the game, lots of people projected their anger on the internet. And what's fascinating is that it wasn't just the Giants players and fans. It was literally everyone. ESPN journalist Chris Mortensen said on Twitter, "This is the most negative barrage of comments I have received about a game's lack of integrity, and that's not even counting Giants-related bias. The consensus from those in the NFL and who have been associated with it, disgrace. That's not the fault of the Washington football team." Now, clearly, the Eagles are getting a lot of trash talk because of this, and as a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I'm going to go over what the main arguments are for why these decisions are inexcusable, and why those arguments don't apply to this situation. And before I say anything, I just want to clarify, this video is not going to be me dissing Giants fans, okay? Because honestly, I respect Giants fans. At least more than I do for Dallas. So I'm gonna start off by just getting the simplest and stupidest argument off the board. The whole division rivalry motive. So this is the dumbest one, so I'm just getting it out of the way. Some New York Giants fans think that the Eagles cheated them and purposefully tanked just so that the Giants would not get into the playoffs. Another thing that fueled this argument is how Chris Collinsworth had been making comments during the game about how the Giants fans should be really upset and all that. You know, he was basically pouring fuel onto the fire. Now, I don't blame Giants fans for thinking that it was stolen from them through cheating, because this is one of the biggest rivalries in NFL history, and blaming a division rival is just what any fan would want to do. But you'll always have arguments like these, and they can never be backed up. And I honestly wanted the Eagles to lose the game, but the playoff picture wasn't my reason. Plus, multiple Giants fans back this up on YouTube.
I'm not even mad that the Eagles didn't try for the Giants. The Giants should have taken care of their own business.
We're the reason we didn't win the division. We didn't win enough games. We made too many mistakes.
The Giants not making the playoffs is only the Giants' fault and not the Eagles' fault.
Because divisional motives can only be suspected and theorized with no evidence, this argument is not a good one at all. But the second thing that people argue about is the fact that moving up in the draft did not matter at all. Now, tanking is common in the NFL, and we all know that, and it's a strategy used by multiple teams for draft purposes. And in this case, that's probably the biggest reason why the Eagles did what they did. Because if the Eagles won the game, they would have finished at 5-10-1, and they would get the 9th overall pick. But the loss resulted in a 4-11-1 record, and the 6th overall pick. However, quite a few people criticize this, saying that it wasn't necessary at all to tank just to move up 3 picks.
But if it's for like the number 1 pick, you think it makes just a little more sense, right? This is for the 6th overall pick. Like, we're talking about the 6th overall pick here.
They could want a higher draft pick. Which one of those quarterbacks are you going to get at 6th overall that tells you, damn, this is the guy?
In response to that, I'm going to start off by saying, we are not at all planning to draft a quarterback, okay? But the thing is, what were the Eagles supposed to do? The Eagles wanted to do what was best for their own franchise, and losing was the best case in that situation. The Eagles would not gain anything from winning that game, and therefore Doug Peterson decided to rest multiple starters and let backups get more experience, because nothing was on the line for them. Now, there is, however, a counter-argument that critics mention.
Someone tweeted this out. I forget who tweeted this out, but someone said the Jets didn't even tank like this. I think it was one of the Knicks meme pages actually tweeted that out. That the Jets didn't even tank like this.
That's a good point. Teams like the Jets and the Texans were not even in playoff contention at all, but they were still playing to try and win. So what excuse do the Eagles have for not trying? Well, to put it plainly, this is all circumstantial. Both teams were trying to win because their head coach pushed for it. Adam Gase knew that he would likely be fired after the season, but he would still want another team to hire him as a position coach or something. And if he just had purposeful bad losses, that would not be a good thing to have on your resume. So Gase had a good reason to keep trying to win. And the same goes for Romeo Crennel. As the intern head coach, Crennel wants to convince the head office that he can still be a good full-time head coach. That's the difference in this situation. The Jets and the Texans both were playing to win because their head coaches had personal reasons to do so. But as for the Eagles, Doug Peterson had already virtually been confirmed to return for the 2021 season. He didn't have his job at risk. He didn't have anything else to prove to Jeffrey Lurie. And that's why he was perfectly fine with benching starters and putting in backups. It's because he had nothing to lose. And all of this shows that Doug Peterson's decision-making was 100% justified. So, this all begs the question, why are people so furious about this? Tanking has happened multiple times in the past, but it's never been shamed to the extent that the Eagles are getting. So what's the difference? Well, ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says it this way.
Listen, front offices, they will tank, yes, because it's better for their organization long term. Coaches and players just don't. You just don't see it, because they're not wired that way. Last night was the first time that I felt I saw it.
So this argument says that the obviousness of the tanking made it more infuriating. And I get that. And a lot of people say that no one should respect Doug Peterson after what he did. But guess what? As I said, I wanted the Eagles to lose. If I was in Doug Peterson's position, I would have done the same thing. And I'm pretty sure that if a lot of people were in his position, even some Giants fans, they would have done the same thing. Because, again, winning would have done nothing for us. But here's the thing. The Eagles are not to blame for all the negativity. NBC is. Why? Because why did they decide to make this game a Sunday night game which everyone watches? Before they moved the game to Sunday night, the Eagles already announced that they would rest a bunch of starters and play backups. It was already painfully obvious that this would not be a super competitive game and that it would be a tanking for the Eagles. But because the game was primetime with everyone watching it, I guess people are upset that the regular season had to end in such a stupid fashion. But NBC are the ones who decided to make it that way, because the Eagles, they were going to tank whether or not it was on primetime. So, if I'm being honest, if that game was not on primetime, I'm pretty sure the reaction would be a lot quieter. You can say that the obviousness of the tanking was inexcusable, but people need to stop making such a big fuss about this, because at the end of the day, two things are clear. One, the Eagles tanking was justified, and two, the 2020 New York Giants didn't deserve to get to the playoffs anyway.